lose this guy and find my son.
I'm here to ask you about the guy who did that to your face.
He poked me in the neck with like a needle.
Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming 8th episode of Dexter New Blood. We have a teaser, episode description, and some promotional photos from Unfair Game to go through. I'll break those down and then I'll talk about some of the theories that are out there and how the end of episode 7 changed some things. If any of that sounds like spoilers to you, then this is your chance to leave. And with that warning out of the way, let's get into it. The description for episode 8 says, Dexter fights for his life in the woods of Iron Lake, leading to a confrontation in an abandoned summer camp. Is there a better place for a serial killer to confront another violent killer? Harrison finds himself at a crossroads between two father figures who can lead him down two very different paths. Meanwhile, Angela starts to make some disturbing discoveries of her own. The teaser opens with Dexter waking up in the back of Elric's truck, which is moving down the highway on the way out into those woods that the description mentioned. Seems like this is all leading to the confrontation in the abandoned summer camp, and this is our serial and violent killers. You saw Elric get the jump on him in the parking lot of the truck stop at the end of episode 7. And a little later in the teaser, you do see Dex looking pretty beat up, even dragging his leg at one point as he's approaching the summer camp. There's a shot of Deb. She's either motivating him or chastising him for getting himself into this mess. I guess it depends on how he's feeling about it all. Elric also looks like he's taken on some injuries, and I'm sure that's related to Dexter no longer being tied up. Elric says, I can do this all day, and we do see blood dripping from Dex's leg, and it all adds up to what looks like a situation where he's going to be occupied for most of this episode. That leads to everything else feeling a lot more exciting. Not being around means that he can't try to craft a narrative that might convince his chief of police girlfriend to stop looking into his past, or what he's been doing lately for that matter. You see that Angela does go and track down the dealer that he beat up, and on the other side of things that Kurt is focusing his attention on Harrison. Angela shows up at the bar. It looks like she pulls the dealer into the bathroom to ask him about the man who messed up his face. The crazy part here is that he tells her about the needle that Dexter used to try to knock him out, and we see her take a photo of his neck where you can still see the injection site. This feels like bad news, and if you remember the scene where this happened, when Logan showed up in the police car, Dexter tossed the needle aside before he started beating on this guy. He was then told to follow them to the station, and there was no indication he ever went back to get the syringe he left behind. That means that Angela might still find that. The fact that he tried to drug the guy is bad enough, but then you have to wonder what might happen if she mentioned this detail to Molly. You don't see her at all in this trailer, but it did sound like they might start working together at the end of the last episode. It's possible Molly could know that this was part of the Bay Harbor Butcher's MO. I'm not really sure about that. That is a case that she already thinks that she has information about that would go against the official story. Not to mention Angela met Batista, who mentioned Dexter, so that she knows he's a character from his past in Miami. Things are really heating up there to put pressure on him from that direction, and I'm really curious to see how this all falls into place in the next few episodes. I'm not sure why they're there, but it looks like Kurt is taking Harrison inside the high school while saying, sometimes it feels good being bad. It looks like he's hitting a baseball in a batting cage or something like that, but the bleachers behind him do look like the school. Then we see him pouring a drink, sitting at a table where he says, sometimes a kid ends up suffering for the choices of his father. There's a promo photo that gives a better look at this, and I suppose they could be inside the cabin. Of course, the room downstairs has been stripped and cleared out at this point, so not sure what Harrison might discover there that could tip him off that Kurt isn't a really great guy. It appears that he's just trying to get on his good side. The description said Harrison would be torn between two father figures that can lead him down two very different paths. It's kind of a weird line considering neither one of them would be offering him much more than just to be a father figure at this point. I guess from the way Harrison would see this, Dexter isn't providing the answers he wanted when he came there and was unable to be honest when they were in therapy together. He also looked through his room and found the blade and questioned his violent tendencies, but Harrison confessed to those at the end of the last episode. As far as Kurt, I guess this is where we can transition to talk theories, because there are only a few motivations that could be driving his trying to get close to Harrison. The one that seems least likely right now, especially after the last episode, he's just looking for someone to take Matt's place. He lost a son. He felt like he did a bad job in raising him. Maybe he would like to try again with somebody else's kid. Considering we now know that he suspects Dexter of killing Matt, you would think that's the motivating factor. And then you have to ask yourself, is it because he wants to kill Harrison to get even? Or does he have some kind of plan that involves using him to get back at his real target, which is Dexter? He did send Elric to abduct him, although it's not clear if he's supposed to take him somewhere to kill him or just to hold him up so he's not around. If it's the former, then I suppose Kurt might be thinking that Harrison might need a replacement dad soon. Either way, we can imagine that Dexter will escape, and considering one of the photos has him in the driver's seat of the truck, that seems more like a question of how long he'll be away from town rather than will he ever get back to town. He will be in a tough spot of explaining the injuries he picked up, but that's the kind of thing he can do all day. Is he going to be in a situation where he has to rescue his son? Initially, it didn't seem likely that Kurt would view Harrison as a victim based on his MO, but now there's a very real chance he would kill him just for revenge. Maybe he had Elric get Dexter out of the way so he could move forward with this plan, and the bringing him to the cabin and giving him alcohol, playing at the batting cage, all of that is just a part of getting him to let his guard down before taking him out. And there has been this one shot of Kurt dressed up in his kill gear, rifle in hand in front of the cabin that showed up in one of the trailers, but we haven't seen in an episode yet. I mentioned the promo photo that showed Dexter driving Elric's truck, and it looks like somebody's trying to run Kurt over here in that right as he's getting ready to kill a new victim. Or I guess we should consider that he's just trying to get close to Harrison because he hates Dexter and he wants to try to turn him against him. Not sure what the end game there would be though. What's really fun about where we are now is that even if Dex gets away and is able to get to Harrison, and then they can get together and get honest about all the things they need to discuss, now you have Angela potentially discovering that there's more to this idea of him changing his name to Jim Lindsay. I think this whole idea of him injecting the guy at the bar is going to be really difficult for him to explain away. I feel like that's going to set off some internal alarms in her police officer brain. I wouldn't have expected it to go this way, but I guess it could be possible that Kurt could meet his end in this episode. If that shot from the old trailer of him in his kill outfit is from this episode, and the meal that we see Kurt and Harrison eating is inside the cabin, then it's kind of hard to believe that everyone would leave that meeting alive. I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but one way or the other, Kurt is going to disappear. And it sure does feel like they're setting up a situation where Angela would suspect Dexter if that happened. If prominent local citizen Kurt Caldwell goes missing after his son also went missing, you'd have to think the local police chief might look into her own boyfriend under those circumstances. And just to be clear, Angela and Molly are way outside of the code. There's no way that he could justify taking them out. And I suppose Harrison being there in his life now would further complicate that. So I'm excited to see where this goes next, and I think that's a good place to leave things. Let me know in the comments what you think about the teaser, what you thought about the last episode. Make sure you check out my video that I made about the ending. That's getting more and more relevant as we get close. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.